Hello and welcome to Coach Oyugi. In this video, I share with you what leadership is. What is leadership? That is the question I answer today. Before we get started into the meat for today, I want to challenge you to go into my channel and subscribe. Watch videos on my channel, put a comment for us, and share the videos with your friends, followers, and family. On this channel, we put videos that helps you to flourish, be fulfilled, and fruitful in whatever ventures you undertake with your life. We want you to be successful in life and in your leadership. And so we provide talks and tools and truth that helps you to maximize rewards from your relationships and from your responsibility. Take time and go through this channel. Enjoy the content, and please subscribe. Well, let's get into the meat of the matter today. What is leadership? This question is asked all the time, and in my coaching career, I get asked this question a lot of times. Now, I'm going to attempt to answer this as practical as I can be with you. Most leaders you meet are not born, they are built. Majority of people that I've met as leaders were not born with leadership. They are people that grew their understanding, their knowledge base, and their wisdom around leading, and have then grown into become amazing leaders. So what is leadership? Number one, leadership is relational influence. Leadership is influence at the basic of it. What leaders do is that they inspire people to move from one point to another point using a tool called vision. Leaders move people from one point to another point using a tool called vision. But this influence is not possible without quality relationships. Therefore, leadership has to do with relationships. It is relational influence. If you can build quality relationship, you can influence people around you. You can influence those above you. You can influence those on the same plane with you if you're working in a company, and you can influence those who are under you as your juniors, as long as you learn how to build quality relationships, which means you need to first of all be self-aware, understand yourself, so that you know how to be able to relate with other people. If you grow your emotional intelligence, you'll be able to relationally succeed in influencing people, and then you are in leadership. So leadership, number one, is relational influence. Number two, leadership is a gift. Leadership is a gift, meaning it is a favor, it is a privilege. You are privileged when you have an opportunity to lead. Leadership is not a right. Leadership is an honor. It is a favor given one. Those of us that have had the privilege to lead should never load it over those we lead, knowing that leadership is given to us as a gift by the grace of God. If you find yourself as a departmental head in your company, there could have been many other people in that company that would have been employed or given the opportunity, promoted to become actually departmental heads. But at that particular time, it is you that is the head. Don't you take it into your head. Calm down. Know that this is an opportunity. That is a privileged opportunity. And so give your very best to it, knowing it is a gift. What you do with a gift is you unwrap it, and then what you do with a gift is you cherish it and you protect it. That's how you should actually approach leadership. It is a gift. Don't think it is a right, and don't load it over people. And that also means that when you're not in a position of leadership, you're not disadvantaged. It is just that maybe your time has not come, and so the gift has not yet come to you to be unwrapped. Leadership is a privileged gift. Number three, leadership is a responsibility. Leadership is a responsibility. It is work. It is a task. The task of leading is a very powerful task. When you have an opportunity to lead, it is not the position. It is actually the function of leadership. And the function of leadership has to do with executing the vision for which you have been mandated as a leader. The task of moving people from one point to another point. And so if you come into leadership thinking, oh, I'm just going to have a position and then just sit on a position, you are lying to yourself. If you're going to be effective as a leader, you must understand leadership as a task, a responsibility that you take initiative to perform. And if you perform it well, then you succeed as a leader. If you don't perform it well, then many lives are at stake and many destinies are at stake because you fail to lead well. Leadership is a task. It is something that you do. Number 4, leadership is also a craft. Leadership is a craft, meaning that you require wisdom to lead. You require wisdom to lead. And when you are leading, you need to lead competently with skill. You need to lead competently with capacity, and you need to lead excellently. Leadership is a craft. It is not something you just do however you want to. You have to learn to lead. You have to learn to lead yourself, the art of self-leadership. You have to learn to lead people and lead teams. You have to learn to lead projects and lead programs and organizations, institutions. It is a craft that is learned. Take time to increase your leadership acumen, to increase your leadership intelligence and capacity. Read books on leadership. Get exposure to the places where leadership is being taught. Attend seminars. Do everything you can, but grow in your crafthood around leadership. Leadership is a craft. It is something that you learn. It is a wisdom. It is a skill. It is something that you grow into. It's a capacity. It is a competence, and it must be done excellently. Number 5, leadership is timely. When you are in a position of leadership, or when you have the task of leadership, just know that you're not going to be leading forever. You are leading for a time and for a reason. Every leadership has a season and has a reason. You have a period of time where you're going to lead, and you have a purpose to achieve during that time. A good example of this one is in the Bible. In Acts chapter number 13 verse 36, there's a gentleman called David. The Bible says when David had served God's purposes for his generation. So he served within a particular time. He served God's purpose. So every leader is called to serve a particular purpose. For him, it was becoming a king and leading Israel into battle. Okay, but for you, it could be becoming a financial analyst. It could be doing data entry. It could be organizing a team or organizing a project. But it's not going to go perpetual. It has to be for a particular season. Leadership is timely. Don't waste your time. Maximize the opportunity you have when you have a chance to lead. Just know that you will stand before God to give an account of your leadership, or before your board to give an account periodically of the success of your leadership. So do everything you can, but ensure that in your leading, you remember that you're not leading forever. You have a season and you have a reason. So zero in into that season. Be careful how you use and appropriate the time you have as a leader. You are not leading forever. Leadership is seasonal. It is timely. The next one, number 6, leadership is a service. You give it with humility. We serve. That's what leadership is about. So servant leadership is the most powerful, in my opinion, form of transformational leadership. If you serve people, you will influence them. You know, because service has to do with humility. Those who have humility, those who are humble, they are accepted, they are received. People are easy to follow someone who is not arrogant and proud. If you're going to succeed in leadership, you have to learn leadership as a service, which means you have to have the posture of a servant. You have to take a posture that honors those that you serve, whether they are above you or in the same space with you or below you. You must take a posture there of obedience, because that's what servants do. They obey their masters. You know that as a leader, you have other leaders above you. Honor them by obeying them. You have to love those that you are leading enough to be able to serve them, because that's what leadership is about. Leadership is a service. It is a service that you render to man. It is a service that you render to God. It is a work that you do towards God and towards man. So it hinges on responsibility that you achieve on behalf of another, and that's very, very important. Number 7, I believe, leadership is generational. If you come into a place of leadership, you must think the next generation, which means leadership has to do with legacy. What one leadership does affects the next leadership. What one leader does today affects the next leader and the next people that will be affected by that leader. This is very important. We normally see, for example, in fact, the best way to put it is that leadership is transitional. It's not just generational, it's actually transitional. That there is going to be a transition between your leadership and the next. So you must be very careful that when you are leading, you are able to equip and prepare the next generation after you to take on the wheels of leadership, the mantle of leadership. Prepare the next generation, mentor someone, raise someone, teach someone how to lead, because someday you won't be the leader. Like I said earlier, leadership is timely, so it's also transitional, which means you are going to pass it on to another generation. 2 more. Number 8, leadership is stewardship. When you are a leader, you have the responsibility not just to manage people, but to manage systems and structures. You have the opportunity to manage resources. And you should become, therefore, a good steward, which means leadership hangs on integrity. Value-based leadership is crucial if you are to succeed in the task of leading. Why? Because leadership, we are saying, is stewardship. So when you are a leader, you see yourself as a steward, one that is responsible on behalf of another. So we exercise leadership on behalf of other people. If you are a political leader, you are exercising that authority on behalf of the electorate. If you are working in a company, you are exercising that authority on behalf of your shareholders. You are leading a business. You exercise that authority on behalf of someone else. A steward is required to prove their faithfulness. So you have to lead faithfully. You have to lead with integrity. And finally, for today, leadership is also structural, which means leadership has to do with systems. It has to do with processes. It has to do with procedures. Leadership executes plans. Leadership is about productivity. If you're going to be productive, there must be systems and structures, checks and balances that you put in to be able to care for what you do. You want to succeed? Consider this about leadership. So what is leadership really? Leadership is relational influence. Leadership is a gift. Leadership is a task. Leadership is a craft. Leadership is seasonal. Leadership is a service. Leadership is transitional or generational. Leadership is stewardship, and leadership is structural. If you learn this and you begin to reflect deeply on them as a leader, you will become an effective, transformational, generational leader in your time. And I wish you that as you lead in whatever spheres of influence God has put you. Thank you for being with me on this video, and let me see you in the next one. Have a wonderful time.